I'm Jeremy Lafredo for Rebel News in New York City in front of India's mission to the United Nations. India is known as the most populous democracy in the world. It's also home to the largest digital biometric ID system in the world. According to a report from Reuters last week, tens of millions of children in India are at risk of being excluded from school this year because they're not linked up to India's biometric digital ID system. Aadhaar, India's federally operated biometric digital ID system, collected the names, fingerprint scans, and eye scans of 1.2 billion Indians. According to the report, India's 2009 Right to Education Act provides the legal right to free education for all children from 6 to 14 years old. But apparently, only children willing to submit to invasive biometric recording and tracking are able to enjoy their own rights. Dipa Sinha, a professor at India's Ambedkar University, told Reuters that requiring the biometric digital ID for public school puts the onus on the citizen and makes it much harder for them to access their own rights. The report referenced an 11-year-old named Shifa, who has been barred from going into the 6th grade because she does not have the Aadhaar biometric digital ID. Her parents made several attempts to get her one, but between the hoops and the behemoth bureaucracy, she fell through the cracks. Now Shifa is simply learning to read and write at home, using the newspaper. Without Aadhaar, we have no other option, her mom said. But Aadhaar is more than just a system that coerces people to submit their personal biometrics to receive their own rights. It's actually a giant social credit system, lauded by political heavyweights and global thought leaders. Not much Western attention has been put on the Aadhaar system because it's been overshadowed by their geopolitical foe, China, and its social credit system. According to the Huffington Post, which received documents under India's RTI Act, or Right to Information Act, the Indian government has integrated data collected by Aadhaar to establish a 360-degree database that automatically tracks citizens when they move between cities, change jobs, or buy new property. Bill Gates, of all people, explained that the Aadhaar system is a huge asset for India and branded the creator of the system, Nandan Nikalani, a partner of the World Economic Forum, a hero.
My friend Nandan Nilekani is one of India's best-known entrepreneurs. He led the creation of the world's largest biometric ID system.
Aadhaar is the world's largest digital ID system and entirely based using biometrics to ensure uniqueness. Our enrollment was very simple: name, address, date of birth, sex, email ID and phone number if you wish, and the biometrics, the 10 fingerprints of both the hands, the iris of both the eyes, and a photograph.
Despite the dystopian possibilities, elected officials in the US are trying their best to force a giant biometric digital ID system on the entire population under the guise of inequity. Illinois Congressman Bill Foster recently introduced the Improving Digital Identity Act, which calls for the public sector, namely Homeland Security, to work with the private sector to develop a giant digital biometric ID infrastructure for the United States. Congressman Foster explained to a Gates-funded vaccine ID initiative, ID 2020, that collecting private biometric information on all citizens could be leveraged by the private sector to generate profits.
That once the government has taken that essential step of taking those biometrics, there would be huge opportunities for the commercial sector to leverage that. And so to try to get this all started, I recently introduced a bill with 4 bipartisan co-authors on the bill, H.R. 8215, the Improving Digital Identity Act. If enacted, this bill would take a number of steps to really prioritize the development of digital ID in this country.
Foster is trying to push this bill through under the guise of inequity by explaining that the system will make it easier for unbanked individuals, apparently a new marginalized group, to access financial services, cloaking the invasive ID system in woke language. In a U.S. House Committee on Financial Services hearing in July, Elizabeth Ramirez warned that biometric digital ID programs like Aadhaar are being used as giant surveillance tools, establishing social credit systems.
My name is Elizabeth Ramirez. I'm a professor of the practice and founding director of the Notre Dame IBM Technology Ethics Lab at the University of Notre Dame. We must avoid building digital ID systems and infrastructure in a way that would further expand and entrench the surveillance state, as do the national identity systems in India or China. For example, the Aadhaar number in India, and that single identifier is able to track your activity across all facets of your life, from employment to healthcare to school to pretty much everything you do. And so that's another area where you can't retain sort of autonomy over specific domains of your life. And for example, you can't be, you can't separate your personal and professional reputation, and you can't have this kind of contextualized personal identity. And so I think that's also really problematic.
But it's this all-encompassing aspect of the system that makes people like Bill Gates so adoring of it. Addressing India's policymakers on their achievements with Aadhaar, Gates explained the usefulness of social credit systems.
Over time, all of these transactions will create a footprint And so when you go in for credit, the ability to access your history, that you've paid your utility bills on time, that you've saved up money for your children's education, all of those things in your digital trail, accessed in an appropriate way, will allow the credit market to properly score the risk.
Gates is trying to bring the Adhar social credit system he's so fond of to the rest of the world. Gates partnered with the World Bank and launched their ID40 project with the declared purpose of bringing the Adhar approach to other countries. To date, the World Bank has invested $1.5 billion into the ID40 initiative, with the official aim of creating identification systems using 21st century solutions.
According to their 2021 annual report, ID40 is currently helping 49 national governments establish digital ID systems, or 470 million people.
If you oppose the implementation of these invasive control measures, go to stopdigitalid.com and sign our petition. That's stopdigitalid.com.